All new parents know how frustrating it can be when a baby is crying, but there's one thing you never want to do is shake that baby. We're going to be talking to the co-founder of the Shaken Baby Alliance next on the Jeff Crilley Show.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home. We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network. We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Well, they don't have instruction manuals for babies, but I believe that every hospital should send new moms home with just one rule. Please do not shake that baby. It can be absolutely devastating. Somebody who knows something about that is Bonnie Armstrong. She's the co-founder of the Shaken Baby Alliance. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, you have a very personal reason for co-founding this nonprofit. Tell us about it.
I do. My niece, Tiffany, was shaken when she was just a baby, and I was actually teaching my kindergarten classroom when I got the phone call that she was being care flighted to the Cook Children's Medical Center. And I arrived there, and the doctor sat me down and explained that this little 4.5-pound baby had been shaken and beaten with a baseball bat.
It's heartbreaking. And you and I were talking off camera. Is the reason because the parent or the guardian just doesn't know?
I think a lot of it is just frustration. When a baby cries, that sound is so annoying, and I think it's supposed to be annoying so that we'll give them the attention. But whenever it reaches a point where the caregiver gets frustrated, a lot of caregivers lose control and shake and or beat the child.
We have an animation that we found on YouTube, and I want to roll that now, just because I think it shows what happens, especially with a newborn's brain. It gets bumped against the back of the skull, right?
It does. That mechanism like that causes rotational forces to the brain, which not only bumps the brain into the skull both back and front, but those rotational forces tear brain tissue and tear blood vessels, which cause injury to the brain. That injury to the brain causes brain swelling, and the brain swelling really is the dangerous part for our children. Children whose brains are swelling will go into cardiac arrest, they'll go into respiratory distress, they can die. And many of them do.
What kind of statistics are you aware of? How often does this happen?
It happens a lot. We know that abusive head trauma is the #1 cause of death and disability for children under the age of 5. And we know that children who are injured like this, about a third of them die. The additional 2/3 are left with lifelong disabilities.
We were talking just before the show that you have an acronym, COPE.
Yes.
What does it stand for?
COPE is, we have a prevention program called When Babies Cry, We Cope. And COPE stands for a crying baby, overwhelmed, pause, and exit. Our goal is to tell parents, if your baby is crying, put them in a safe place and make for sure that you get yourself away and then cope with that situation until you get control. Then you can go and take care of your baby again.
And it's okay to leave a child in another room crying until you get your
Absolutely.
act together, right?
It is. One thing we know is no baby has ever died from crying. In fact, if they're crying, they're breathing, their heart's racing. And eventually you'll get control and you'll be able to deal with the child again. And sometimes babies just need to cry. They do. There's a lot of research out about crying, and now we know that babies between 2 and 4 months cry more than any other time, and we think that could possibly be related to a physiological need of more oxygen to the brain, so the crying gets that oxygen to the brain. So sometimes there's nothing wrong. They're just crying.
You have a great graphic on your Facebook page. We're going to show that right now. I think it really kind of puts a face on the situation. What do you find as you're going out and educating people that are you amazed that many of them aren't aware?
I think I used to be amazed, but now I know, like, just like you said, babies don't come with a training manual whenever you take them home. And babies are hard. I mean, you've got this little human being and you have to do everything for them 24/7, and parents are exhausted and caregivers get exhausted. So it's so understandable. That's why we want them just to know that it's okay for you to take a break and self-care. Take care of yourself for a few minutes, even a longer time if you need to. Get help. Ask for somebody to come over and relieve you.
Okay, when people give to your alliance, where does the money go?
Well, our mission is to provide support for families and professionals, prevent child abuse, and then get justice for the innocent victims. So if you break that down, our victim family support, we offer victims anything they need. We help them with wherever they are. Children who are families whose children are deceased will have different needs than children who survive. Many of our families have been with us for over 20 years because when their children are infants, they have certain needs for their infant, and then as they get older and older, the needs change, and so we'll have some parents contacting us because they are now elderly and they can't care for their 40-year-old son or 40-year-old daughter who is like an infant, and so they need assistance. So we help them in every way. So the money that we raise goes to provide family support in whatever way they need it. We also offer support to professionals. We have a forensic investigation training program, so any legal personnel, law enforcement, child protective services, we want them to have the best training possible, so we provide that support. And then of course our prevention programs, which are my favorite. We go to high schools, we go to schools, just any community group.
That's awesome. And you have a fundraiser coming up. Tell us about
that. We
do.
It's kind of a different concept, but we were approached by Sean, and he said, we want to do something unique because with COVID-19, all of the fundraisers are getting canceled, because people need to be safe. So we came up with this concept, or he came up with the concept of armchair telethon. So what everybody can do is just sit in the comfort of your home, watch our telethon, which will be on Saturday, September the 5th from 9 to 5. We'll be on YouTube Live and Facebook Live, and we're going to have acts from all across the nation. We have a few special people coming in, and it's just going to be a fun day and hopefully raise some funds for our charity.
Outstanding. Bonnie, you do such a great job, and it's such a worthwhile nonprofit. We're going to put the website up so people can get involved and tune into the telethon and donate, hopefully. Shakenbaby.org is the website. Bonnie Armstrong, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.